overall, and we've talked about this throughout the day, when it comes to the Mavericks and free agency, you look across the NBA landscape, most of the big fish, the Chris Pauls of the world, the Mike Conleys, I mean, you name the player, Steph Curry. I mean, outside of Kyle Lowry, who got traded to the Miami Heat with a sign-and trade from Toronto, most of the players re-signed with their own teams. Tim Hardaway Jr. re-signs with the Mavericks on a 4-year, $74 million deal. Boban Marjanovic re-signs with the Mavericks as well. And then the Mavericks go ahead and bring in Sterling Brown and Mr. Bullock, who are both outstanding three-point shooters. And that continues to be the Mavericks' philosophy, right? They want to build this team around Luka with sharp shooters around the perimeter, all three of which are 39% or above from three-point range. But none of which are big names that the average NBA fan is probably going to know or is probably going to perk up and say, man, the Mavericks really improved their roster.
Yeah, 100%. This is not these are not the moves that you are sort of hoping for when you bring in a Nike Nico, when you bring in a Jason Kidd, when you hear Mark Cuban on different podcasts talking about the idea that he was sort of mimicking the Brooklyn Nets way of doing things when he hired Jason Kidd, same way they did Steve Nash. And he wants to have a team and an organization that goes out and lands the big fish. He wants to be the team that can recruit superstars. And I think he believes that having Luka, and I believe this as well, like having Luka is going to be something that superstars are going to want to come here and play next to. And having the relationships that Nico Harrison does, you assume that he's going to be able to go and recruit some star players as well. It didn't happen this time around, and so everybody's going to be super bummed out about it. It's like this big build up, and then what happens? Well, here comes Sterling Brown and Reggie Bullock. That's not really going to do it for you. But there is still time in terms of it's not like this was a one-off season plan and then it all goes to hell. We fire everybody next year and we come up with something different. You're about to sign Luka to a 5-year extension, so you have some years to try and go get some of these guys. And who knows? I mean, it could be at the trade deadline this upcoming season when Bradley Beal says, all right, I've had enough. Or Damian Lillard says, all right, I've had enough. And then boom, you go make the same type of deal that you did middle of the season when you got Porzingis. You never know when something like that's going to happen. You just always want to be ready for that opportunity. But right now, I mean, this is not going to be something that Mavs fans get super excited about. I think they got better. I understand the role players that they were trying to get, guys who can shoot the ball. It's still an extremely flawed roster, and it's not like this is a Mavericks team that is about to do anything crazy as it stands today in terms of a playoff run and stuff. There's no doubt there's work to be done. But there's still time to make some type of trades and things like that. But yeah, this was not the free agency of, some summers where it's just superstar after superstar after superstar is available. Wasn't like that this summer.
No, the free agent, lineup of who was available, not exactly a great free agent class. And as we mentioned, the majority of the big guys re-signed with their respective teams. And, outside of the sign-in trades for Kyle Lowry, we know the Mavericks were interested there. I personally think they might have dodged a bullet with Kyle Lowry. I think that he's a guy who might end up being on the downward trajectory. I mean, we've seen Chris Paul, who's having success in his late 30s. And Mike Conley at 33 is coming off an all-star year. Maybe Kyle Lowry in Miami ends up playing really well. He certainly has a good roster around him there. That could be a great fit for him. But I don't know that I'm upset that the Mavericks didn't end up spending that amount of money on a Kyle Lowry. DeMar DeRozan is still out there. I don't think that the Mavericks should really get their hopes up for that. But again, I think that overall, as fans, this is kind of what we expected. But to your point, it doesn't mean that the job's done. The sign-in trades are where the Mavericks probably are going to make moves, whether it's this offseason or next offseason. And I do believe the Goran Dragic move is probably the next step in their free agent signings. He's probably going to be either bought out by Toronto, or maybe there's a sign and trade there where they move Dwight Powell, as we talked with Fish about earlier, and they get rid of the Dwight Powell contract and they bring in Goran Dragic, who has a great relationship with Luka. And there you've got another ball handler who can take a little bit of pressure off him. I know some people are like, well, that's Jalen Brunson. We don't need anybody else. It's Brunson's role. Clearly, I love Jalen Brunson, but you need somebody else. Brunson's not enough for you. I think that was proven in the series with the Clippers. So for me, this isn't a shocker with what happened with the Mavericks, but I'm not upset that they didn't shell out big money dollars to the Norman Powells of the world, or some of these guys that ended up getting fat contracts.
Yeah, for sure. It's just kind of the way it was. Just that was the landscape of free agency this year. A lot of these old guys were getting paid big money, and that's what happens when there's not a ton of superstars out there. The money's still going to go somewhere, and so you paid pretty big money, $74 million. Maybe not quite as much as we thought it was going to be for Tim Hardaway Jr. I think it's good to have him back. But yeah, the Mavs are kind of looking around right now where there's still a lot of work to be done. And we did have, a good text here, a rational text from somebody in the 214 that it's just the beginning of the process for the Mavs.
Yeah.
Like they're about to, it's not about hope, 972, in terms of will Luka sign the extension? Oh no, are we nervous about it? It is a foregone conclusion. He is going to sign the Supermax rookie extension, 5 years, $202 million. It's a no-brainer. And then now you've got a little bit of time. You got another season or two to really try and build around him in a way that makes him feel like he can compete for a championship. And then if it doesn't happen, come year 3 of that extension, year 4 of that extension, then you start having problems on your hands. But it's the first offseason of the new regime. And it wasn't like it was an offseason that was filled with superstar players of, oh man, we can go get somebody. It just wasn't the case this summer. So I guess they did about as much as they could do with still having the Dragic stuff out there. Maybe they get super lucky on a DeMar DeRozan. Maybe the John Collins situation in Atlanta gets so weird that something can happen there. Like there's always going to be avenues, but that's just not wasn't a superstar landscape for the free agent summer.